Welcome back, everyone. We are Cats in Camo, and we are back with the Rossi revolver here today.
We're going to use the revolver for what's supposed to be a little bit longer shooting exercise, so we're going to have to reload in the middle of it. But I want you to see behind me again, we have our standard steel setup for our video reviews. So we're actually going to do a full reload, so I'm going to have 12 chances at this. We're shooting 38 special today. Uh-oh. They're laughing at me. And I don't blame them. Alright, well, the sun is starting to set on our OK Corral. We are almost done shooting the Rossi 971 357 Magnum with a 4-inch barrel. We did the steel shooting with it. Really liked how it worked. The last thing, though, we're going to let Allie shoot it again because she wants to be a cowgirl, baby.
Yeehaw!
Oh my. Thought for a minute you were whinnying. So, as soon as I give this to her, she's going to be shooting her version of an obstacle course. She's going to shoot the 2 milk jugs first, then she's going to shoot the 2-liter bottle of soda, then the 2 cans. I may be in the way for that. I promise I will move when she's got a loaded firearm. And last but not least, my shaving cream. Next time we're going to start shooting stuff from your bathroom, no matter how embarrassing.
Look as nearly as cool.
Probably not. Here you are. You are loaded and ready to go hot.
All right.
Single action. You went out of order and scared the bunny. Nice shooting, Jack. Wow. I guess a 6-shooter is enough when you don't miss. 6 targets up, 6 targets down. It may not look very spectacular. The 2 water bottle milk jugs are still there, but both of them have holes pretty much dead center. So you're our novice shooter. You're supposed to be a newbie, and people aren't going to believe on the videos that you don't shoot.
I really don't. Alright, everyone, we are back from the range with our Rossi revolver, here to give a final review.
I feel good. I had fun. There's just something about saying out on the range when you're using a revolver just makes you feel like a cowboy. I feel like I really should have worn a cowboy hat for this. But you saw us. We put it through its paces. Now we're going to score it. We have 8 categories that we're going to judge this on with a scale of 1 bullet to 5 bullets. Starting off with comfort of grip. That's just how it feels to hold the gun. And I'm going to be honest here, I like the Rossi revolver line, but I find the grips, I feel like this gun was designed for people with really small hands, and the grips, where you hold it and where it puts your finger in relation to the trigger, it's just a little bit too crowded for me, and I'm going to give it a 2.
Surprisingly, I guess then for me, holding it just at ready was fine, or holding it just casually to look at the gun and review it was fine, but once I actually started shooting with it, I felt myself having to keep readjusting on the grip. So it wasn't a steady hold. I had to keep refiddling with it in order to get it back to a comfortable grip. So I'm actually also going to give it a 2 out of 5.
Let's talk about the sights. This has the standard notch target sight on the back, but I really like the front blade sight, that fluorescent orange. kind of stood out and made up for the fact I thought the sights on the back were a little bit small and nondescript. So overall, I'm going to give it a 3. We'll call it pretty much standard revolver sights.
For me, when I was firing this gun, now this could also play a little bit in accuracy, so I'm trying to find a good balance between accuracy and the sights. But it just seemed like I was pointed in one direction and the bullet hole would end up somewhere different. It didn't quite seem to go where I wanted it to. And it could be user error as well. I'm going to keep that into consideration, but I had to give it 2 out of 5.
Let's talk about the trigger. The single action mode with the Rossi was soft and it was easy to shoot. Really liked the trigger in single action mode. Double action, I actually found it pulling me off my target, and not because the trigger pull was heavy, but because it felt longer than it needed to be. I shot a number of revolvers that just say it fell down on that part, but one was above average, one was below average, so overall the trigger, I'm going to give it a 3.
For me, it came out at about average. It was a lot easier to shoot in single action. And I only did double action a couple times because it was so hard for me to pull back on. But it did seem average. It seemed standard. It seemed like that was the norm for a revolver. So 3 out of 5.
Next up is perceived recoil. Recoil is different with a revolver than it is a semi-auto because there's no slide. There's no motion to help absorb this. All the recoil is absorbed through the frame and your grip. We shot 38 Special out of this instead of 357 Magnum for ease and new shooter. And for shooting 38 Special, the recoil, standard, normal.
For me, the recoil, I actually rated it a little bit higher. I thought, for the most part, it was a decent recoil. If nothing else, it kind of did give you that sense of the cowboy out on the west, where you always see them fire the way that they do, and it just made you feel like you were part of that. So I actually gave it a 4 out of 5.
Let's talk about accuracy. I'm going to give it an overall score of 4. It's above average accuracy in an inexpensive revolver. It's a really nice thing to see. But in single action mode, this revolver really shines. For a 4-inch barrel, it is tight groups. Bullet goes exactly where you're aiming it. I really liked shooting it.
For me, again, the accuracy seemed a little bit off with close range. Farther away, it seemed to do a lot better. And when I did my specialty shots at the end, it did seem to perform, fairly accurate there.
Oh, you went Allie Oakley on us. Forget about Allie Cat. She went 6 for 6. You check the video out again. Rewind.
But because it did fall short in the close range for the basic, I did bump it down to a 3 on accuracy.
Let's talk about ease of reload. For this, I'm gonna give it a 3, but this one, it was almost a 2. For a lot of revolvers, they don't get enough distance. The swing arm, the tolerances are tight, and the swing arm doesn't move the cylinder out very far, and it's difficult not just to spit out the empty casings from the inside of the cylinder, the side closest to the frame. It's also harder to do the speed loader and do the reload. But for all that, the action in popping the cylinder out and putting it back was really clean, and I felt made up for it. So we're just going to give it a 3.
For me, again, it's completely different reloading this as opposed to with a magazine. But I even had trouble with the quick load when we had the quick load of the next
Speed
6,
loader,
the
sure.
speed loader. And I wasn't able to actually execute it properly. I needed him to actually do it for me because I couldn't figure out how to make it work. So for me, again, it could be just inexperience, not being used to a gun like that. But I did give it a 2 out of 5.
Well, let's talk about reliability. It functioned clean. It worked great. Even I felt a little bit above average. So I'm going to give it a 4 for reliability.
For me, I've never shot a revolver before, so this was kind of a first-time experience. it seemed average to me. And again, I can't really say average if I've only shot one, but
it would be the average. It would be the best you ever shot and the worst you ever shot.
This is very true. It seemed to perform as a revolver should, from what I know of them, which is very little, but it did seem to meet my standard, but it didn't exceed it. So,
Sure.
3 out of 5 for reliability.
Let's talk about the last category, ease of maintenance and cleaning. This doesn't disassemble like a semi-auto. You push the button, you swing the cylinder out, and that's pretty much it. So you can basically scrub the barrel and clean it and oil it. And the Rossi worked just basically industry standard. It was clean, it was efficient, and pretty easy.
And experience tells me that this is standard and this is what it should be. I mean, in some cases it's easier than a lot of the other guns that we have reviewed, but in regards to a revolver, again, average, standard, 3 out of 5.
Well, let's total them up. The Rossi came in, for me, if you add my scores up, it came in at a 25.
For me, it actually came a little below average at a 22.
And for the record, the grips can be changed. They do make, Hogue and some other companies make different grips that will work on this gun. So if you like the other parts of the gun, but agreed with us that the grips didn't work, that doesn't mean no sale. It means you're in the market for an aftermarket upgrade, yeah. And fortunately, you have that option.
Well, that's about all the time that we have for today. Thank you guys so much for joining us. If you enjoyed this video, we ask that you take those crosshairs of yours and point them at that like button down below. And stay tuned for more reviews coming up soon. Alright, we'll see you then.